Celebrating 10 years of trailblazing in ground support, Exceed marks a decade as your leading partner in ground support equipment leasing. At the forefront of both short-term and long-term leasing solutions, Exceed adapts to your unique operational needs. Whether you're ramping up for peak season or planning for long-term growth, we provide the right equipment to keep your operations running smoothly. This anniversary, we renew our dedication to empowering your ground operations with efficiency and innovation. With Exceed, you're equipped for success today and prepared for the challenges of tomorrow. Exceed, driving excellence on the ground year after year. Explore more at exceedgse.com.
This is Laura McGrath.
This is Jennifer Mattisey.
This is Sophie Skinner-Jones, and you are listening to the GSE podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the GSE podcast. I am Matt Weitzel, and I am here with Jouni from Navitec. And Jouni, why don't you start out by kind of telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Matt, for having me. Yeah, my name is Jouni Sievilä. I'm CEO of Navitec Systems, and I worked in the industry for 21 years. And the industry in this case means software for autonomous vehicles. I have a strong background in software development, in commissioning, in leading or managing software teams, and since the beginning of the year in the CEO position in our company.
Wow. Okay. So so Navitec, kind of tell me a little bit about Navitec. I know that you all are an autonomous software solution. So kind of tell me, just give me a brief overview of what Navitec is.
Correct. So Navitec is a company that works in the world market. We deliver software for typically in the HEV and AMR sector for intralogistics, but that's not where we started from. So originally we started 25 years ago in mining industry. So we did big loaders, dumpers in the underground mines, and then we went into nuclear waste management industry. And then what actually started our product business, it was the software for intralogistics. And now we are expanding to the outdoor world. So we started that a few years ago in a product-wise. Of course, we have done over 25 years different projects what comes to the outdoor space as well.
Okay. So, I mean, mining equipment is a lot like ground support equipment, I would say.
It is. It is. It has the same concepts. The tonnage is even higher typically in the mining equipment.
Okay.
So the heavy machinery, very, very industrial, so to speak, usually also slow on taking their turns. So you have to give them a bit of time to take the corner, so to speak. So, but
the environment's a little bit different, obviously, at the airport than it is in mining, but the equipment is very similar as far as, like you said, tonnage and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and I heard you're going to be, or well, not you, but Navitec will be in Lisbon for the GSE Expo. Is that correct?
It is correct. So we will have our booth at the Innovation Center. So welcome to visit us. We will show their live, or let's say not live, but the video of the vehicles that we have automated that are relative close to this space. So you will see there also the Tucker that I mentioned, but also other outdoor vehicles that are fully autonomous.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to see kind of the software behind Navitec?
Exactly, yeah. And then you have our sales and then engineering side telling that how can we handle this. So what are we doing, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So, I've talked to another autonomous vehicle company, but they're a little bit different than you, right? So I think what you offer is an autonomous software solution. And then, you all have had many years in the industrial space, from what I understand, doing autonomous work. And so, you also know the best kind of like hardware that you, not necessarily your hardware, but you know of the hardware companies that you like to work with, I imagine, and you offer that software solution behind that. So what is your kind of vision for working in the GSE industry?
It's not much different from any other industry in this stage. So you have to find, of course, the use case. So typically you start with the easiest part or easiest process that can be automated whenever what industry you are going to. And then you find a partner that is willing to take that leap of faith, that they have their vehicles, they are strong in the industry, but they lack inside the house typically the software development capabilities, knowledge how to make a vehicle move automatically, and that's where we can bring our expertise into use.
Yeah, so basically you're looking to find OEM partners that would like to eventually get into the autonomous space with their vehicles.
Correct.
And then you can help them get to the point where they can offer that product. Is that correct?
Exactly. You nailed it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm sure there's a lot of OEMs out there that don't know where to begin, right? Because this is very new. I would say in general, well, I mean, to GSE, right? So how many years have you been kind of involved, or how long has Navitec been involved in autonomous in other industries? How many years are we talking?
26 years to be exact. So 98 we started. And that was in mining industry. And of course, when someone reverses back 2 years, you can imagine at that time the modern lidars didn't exist, so it was very different industry at the time. And also that to bring to the GSE market, having that long expertise or knowing how to automate different devices, we can help the customers to not to do the silly, stupid mistakes or do the shortcuts where you shouldn't shortcut and do things kind of right where you have to do them right, and maybe then find the best way to solve some issues. But for 26 years we have been doing it, and of course the technology mostly is still the same, but new sensors come, better computers come, better equipment is there, and what also is a big driving force for automation is the electrification. So it's so much easier to automate something that has electrical steering and driving compared to combustion engines. That's doable. That's something that we have been doing in that time. But still, if you can choose, you always choose the electrified vehicle.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you're aware, ground support equipment is just now kind of we're finally ramping up and getting towards all electric, and we have a lot of airports that are going all electric and mandating that. Obviously we're waiting on infrastructure and things like that to come into the airports, but yeah, this is a perfect time for Navitec to enter this space, right?
Correct.
Because now
I think also the manufacturers are now rethinking their fleet or what can they do with these vehicles. And just like I said, the threshold to automate something is lower today than it was with old equipment. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you, and I don't know if you can talk about this or not, and if you can't, that's fine. Are you working with any current ground support equipment OEMs?
No, only thing that we have worked with is Technocar. So this is a Spanish company that has a Tucker that has been automated. We did this as a joint venture. But that's why we are joining the GSE Expo.
Exactly.
To find there someone who is now looking for a software supplier or someone who can help with that topic. So.
Yeah. Now, is there additional challenges that you see entering into the airport environment compared to other spaces that Navitec has worked in, such as industrial or mining?
Correct. In every space where you bring automated vehicles, the question is that how accepting that environment is for automation. So that is the biggest topic. Yep. And you can imagine that 25 years ago or 26 years ago, mining was not very accepting for automation. Basically, it was fully manual work that was happening there. And I guess that's the same story now in the airports. But the times has changed. So people have seen the robots. You can see the robots on your streets. You can see them, your car driving past themselves. You can see them everywhere. And I guess that change is going to happen at the airports. But it will be I would say, it will be a topic that needs to be handled smartly in the industry. So industry needs to know what are the things that you can approve, what can you do, how do you do them safely, where should you let your autonomous vehicles drive to, and like I said, take the easy tasks, simple tasks first, and then when those get accepted by the industry, then you can expand always to the rest of that topic. But of course, airports, there's a high volume. There's so many of them, a lot of vehicles running on the tarmac. But on the same time, that's the difficulty as well. There's a lot of manual traffic happening then, big vehicles, and a lot of things to consider when you actually automate it. And that's
for sure. So
it is something that every industry has to find its own way to let's say handle or accept or reduce the risk when it comes to automations.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So, and then is there anybody in the industrial segment that you've worked with of note? And can you kind of tell me a story about automating something in the industrial space? I feel like that, again, very similar to GSE as far as like more like that environment, different than whereas the equipment's similar in mining, the environment's a little bit different for the industrial space. So can you kind of tell me about that?
I'm just thinking that which example should I take? One thing what I can say where we started was actually the hospitals when we came to intralogistics. So that was also interesting that you wouldn't imagine how many vehicles there are inside the hospitals bringing your laundry or food or just handling material flow basically. And also again, you would think that that's hard environment. That's actually a surprisingly easy environment because it's in a closed doors. There are people moving there, but there's no hurry as such, if you know.
Okay.
So compared to just going to the open roads, that industry was accepting and very eager just to get the return on investment quickly and being able to use the manpower to do something that's actually helping people instead of moving materials. So,
well, I think that, one of people's obviously biggest concerns is, personal safety. So, and then in the hospital environment, I'm sure there's people all over the place, dealing with these autonomous vehicles, and it seems like it's completely safe. So I think that's a great example as far as like, people working alongside autonomous vehicles, in close quarters. Hospitals aren't humongous.
There. Yeah, and happens not only in the service tunnels or underground. It also happens at the same levels where the patients are, depending on the hospital. And the same topic is true for the automotive. So when you go to in the big automotive factory, there's just so much traffic happening around, and still the HEVs and AMRs are moving there in between, bringing the material to the assembly line. And that was also the same thing that it was, I would say, it needs to be accepted by the environment. It needs to, the people who are working there need to be for it instead of against it, and then it works. So every truck driver who are driving there are, instead of trying to drive over the HEV, they are slowing down and following the rules, maybe even more carefully than when there's only pure human traffic, because human are tricking the horn and going around, and you are reversing if someone is coming. With automated vehicles, it kind of automatically becomes more strict and more clear that what is going to happen, and there's no surprises. You can very easily understand what the other vehicle is going to do, because it's always like a train.
Exactly.
It is following what it's supposed to do.
It's predictable, right?
Yeah.
Where people are not predictable.
Yeah.
So did you see people working in those facilities, adopt to that pretty quickly? I mean, I'm sure there was hesitation at first, but I mean, how long do you think it took people to feel comfortable working alongside
people
autonomous?
are surprisingly fast on getting used to new stuff. So that is more the topic that when they see them moving, when they actually see that they are bringing value, they are helping the production, then typically people start appreciating them. If they are just toys that are, doing something, then usually the people don't appreciate that as much. But as soon as they start being a valuable part of the process, and I think the same thing is valid for the airports, when people see that the automatic vehicles are important part, that when they get to their destination, it's important for the whole working of the airport, then people understand that this is what needs to happen. We have to give that space. It's now that light is red, so I should not cross this crossing when the AGV is going through the green light, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And so you don't kind of see it in that sense anymore. So I'm sure how much it happens, probably far less in the airports than it happens in the other industrial environments, but still it's more mentality topic than anything else.
So just so our listeners understand, with autonomous, I mean, from my understanding, what you do is you kind of map out the airport. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So what of course, you can do navigation so many different ways, but our standard way of doing it is just installing their LiDAR, and in airport space it will be a 3D LiDAR, and then on top of this you can use GPS if wanted, and typically it makes sense. But nevertheless, what you do is you drive the vehicle around the facility to map it, and then this map is used when you then keep driving in autonomous mode toward the facility. So.
Okay, and then it works underground as well, right? And then that's when LiDAR will come in really handy down there.
It will be handy anywhere. I think that's the nice thing about the LiDAR, that it kind of, especially when you are talking about the 3D LiDAR, it's very few places where it doesn't work. So it's pretty robust. It's very robust on all lighting conditions. It doesn't matter if it's dark or light. It's robust on the weather. So only in the most terrible weather, when you can't really see through your windscreen anyway, the LiDAR can't see anything either. So it's usually in the same level as the human eye would be. So
okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. I think a lot of people's hesitation as well is weather. They think that this kind of technology can't stand up to snow and rain. Can you kind of talk to me about other industries where you have seen this technology work in all kinds of conditions?
Even in mining, I'm sure what comes into your mind, but I've been to so many of them. They are dusty environments. There is always water coming down from somewhere, and there's dust in there. And typically, these automated vehicles, it can drive further than you would drive yourself. So when there is so much fog in there that you wouldn't consider that you would continue driving, that drives a bit longer and then it stops. And only when the fog gets so thick that you don't really see anything, then the LiDAR can't see anything through that either.
So it's about the same as a human.
It is
that what you're saying? It may be a little bit better.
And then sometimes a bit better. The top problem is not usually the navigation. The navigation can survive. It still knows where it is. It can continue driving. The safety is the other part. So typically, because of the safety, you can't be any more safely know if something is in front of you. The safety stops you first, and that's the kind of the threshold then, that what is the speed what you can drive, how wide has your safety field be in front of the vehicle, and what if the safety scanner or safety equipment or safety radar doesn't see through. But on the outdoor, you typically use both, so you can use laser technology, but you can also use radar technology just to handle this topic that it can see through the rain and snow and still detect the vehicles of people in front of you. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really good. So thanks for sharing that with me. So how do you see autonomous vehicles in the kind of like taking over GSE? Like, how do you see the future of GSE and autonomous vehicles?
I find it really promising. I was also listening one of your podcasts where you discussed about the topic. In my understanding, it's in the same space where mining automation was 25 years ago. So people are interested. They are now learning. There are suppliers who are supplying their proof of concepts or first vehicles to the industry, and it's really hard to prognose how fast will be the speed of automation to push through the airports. I think that's more for the end users or the airports to decide. But once there is a first one or two fully or let's say hybrid airports where there is a bunch of automatic vehicles, then people follow. Same thing happened in mining, that there was one or two mines in the first years, and then that message started spreading, and all of a sudden nowadays when they are manufacturing those vehicles, most of them are automated or had the possibility to be automated in the future if the customer decides to do so. So I assume that's the same story will go through the airports, that you need the few airports that are doing it for real, not just for the proof of concept, not just to show that there is one tacker or one vehicle that can do this, but actually putting that in the production. And then when the next airport comes to ask that, hey, did you do your return on investment? Is this actually working? And they can tell based on the facts that yes, it is working. It's saving us this much effort or time or money, or it's more reliable or whatever it's. And then people start believing it, and then they copy the concept to the next airport. And that's how it will start accelerating faster than we actually believe. But when does that critical mass come? That's really, really, really hard to predict. So,
yeah, no, for sure. So, why do you think somebody should choose Navitec? So, like, what do you have to offer? I think, experience is a huge thing that you all have in your back pocket. As you said, you've been doing this for 26 years.
Correct. It's a company, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what would be your sales pitch on why somebody should choose like the Navitec system, to go autonomous in this space?
Correct. So one, of course, like you mentioned, is the history. We have the long knowledge of doing exactly this topic. The other thing is that we can provide basically the full software stack. So we can help on the vehicle side. We can navigate it. We can position it so it knows where it is. It knows how it can drive to the destination. We can connect a huge amount of sensors based on need. So we can always kind of find a solution to the issue, because, like you said, there are different vehicles and different needs depending on the process that they are doing. And on top of this, we can provide the fleet controller that can control the whole fleet of the vehicles on the field. And there isn't that many players in the industry that can do all of that, and we do it really well as well.
So you have like a fleet management system behind it as well?
Correct. Yeah. And that basically takes care of just assigning vehicles to the right orders, battery management, traffic control, scheduling, all these things that are needed, that you have your movements smooth and vehicles going the right time in the right spot, basically. So, and all of a sudden, it also has the user interface, so whoever is operating or monitoring the whole fleet can easily see what's happening on the field. So.
Okay. Well, no, that's a great answer. I appreciate it. So I have a lot of manufacturers that listen to this podcast, and I think that they would want to know like what the process would look like. So let's say that they come to your booth in Lisbon and they meet Peter, and they're interested in doing business with you. How does that look like from that moment that they get to meet Navitec, and then what happens next?
So typically it's very straightforward. So first of all, you meet, like you said. So there's a short discussion that what is the expectation, what are we trying to do, and if the expectations that we have something that we want to automate, then you are in the right booth, and then we can start talking. And typically in the trade show, it's more about just encountering people, connecting to each other, just gathering trust and just talking about the topic. Then after that, the next step is just going through the drawings together. That what kind of vehicle, what is supposed to do, how can we automate that? So that's something we do. Typically, helping the customer to choose the right sensor package, right controllers inside there, making sure that that vehicle is even possible to automate. And sometimes it needs changes to the existing gear. Sometimes it just needs that you add something on top of it, because of course the existing manual vehicles don't have everything. This is pre-sales. And then when we are certain that this can be automated, or what is needed that needs to be automated, then we are usually giving a fixed price quotation for the work. And so at the end of this first process, customer has a vehicle that is driving, it's fully autonomous, it has our software stack running, sensors are installed in the right place, and they can start playing with that. And very quickly after that, of course, everyone is interested in what if I have two vehicles, or what if I have three vehicles, how do I connect them together? And then the topic of fleet control comes into place. But that's typically how the flow goes. Someone wants to just see it with their own eyes that it is easy or possible, or can be done instead of months or years. It can be done in weeks, where you get your vehicle from manual vehicle to automated vehicle, and then you start building from that. So.
Okay, so let's say that I'm an OEM and I have an electric baggage tractor.
Correct.
And I choose Navitec. I need your help. I want to automate this thing.
Correct.
Okay. So you tell me like these are the sensors that you need, like this is all the stuff you need to equip to this vehicle. Obviously I'm going to have my engineer involved, right?
Correct.
The head of my engineering, maybe a couple other guys. And then we say, well, I guess the question is like, so will Navitec help my engineer? Like, hey, you need to probably protect this sensor, and like, will they help on the engineering side of like, yeah, that these are the sensors that need to be there. However, you're going to want to protect this because if this goes down, then that happens or whatever. Like, I mean, are you all consultant, like start to finish on the project?
We will help to the best of our capability, and like I said, our capability is a software company's capabilities. So we are not best on, let's say, choosing mechanical structures, so to speak.
Okay.
But we can give our insight that, hey, if you put your scanner here, maybe you should, and if you are running it through the snow, maybe you should put a hat on it.
Exactly.
We can tell in this level. How do you manufacture your hands on it? That's then the engineering side that the manufacturer will do on their side. We can help on the safety side as well. So we can kind of bring the topic that what are the considerations, how can you make the vehicle safe? But at the end of the day, the safety is on OEM's responsibility. So they have to own that topic, and they have to bring their own engineering and own safety logic and own validation that their safety is approved for the usage. So we are there giving our best advices, helping to choosing sensor, telling even that who is supplying safety lidars and who is supplying safety radars. So what kind of things you should have on your vehicle. But then to actually make it safe. That's not on our side because we are not doing the wiring, we are not doing the safety.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just telling them the right hardware they need and then providing them the software solution.
Correct. Yeah, and they have to own.
I just wanted to make
they
sure.
need to know that their vehicle is safe to drive basically. So.
Yeah. So, like, what are the key cost considerations when developing autonomous GSE?
At the end of the day, those equipment are not the cheapest. We come from the AGV world, so those vehicles are smaller. So I don't think that the automation cost considered the cost of the vehicle in GSE world is such a big. Of course, if you are talking of tuckers, it can be, but many of the vehicles are expensive as such. But the main considerations about the price are basically engineering cost. That is typically the biggest one. So how much effort you put in the not only the designing of your vehicle, but also in commissioning of those vehicles.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest cost typically. And then there is a significant cost still. The price goes down all the time, but the sensors, we are talking typically around $10,000 price for the sensor kit for this kind of a vehicle. Now everyone can make their mind, is it a lot or is it a little? I think it's significant amount of money, but if you compare that to the salary of the operator that is driving this, then it's not so expensive anymore. And then on top of this, of course, the software price and then the fleet controller price, that is what we can.
So how much changes do you see manufacturers having to do to their equipment once you've kind of done your initial conversations with them on the amount of sensors that they need and all the different things? I mean, is it a ton of engineering usually involved?
Not
like when we're talking about mining?
Yeah, not typically. Let's say it all depends on what is the level of kind of control already. So if it's electrified vehicle, usually it's pretty close to go. So there's already drive on wire. You just have to talk with the manufacturer that what is the interface, how can we control it. And typically what is also needed that it doesn't have all the sensors that are bringing you feedback. So you don't necessarily know even that what is your angle of steering. So you have to add their absolute encoder to just tell you that information that now you have steered left or you have steered right, if you know what I mean. So there's something that needs to be added on top of this, but it's very little on typical case. But there can be cases where it's actually cheaper to, for example, change the motor controller instead of trying to figure out from some motor controller that is just not suitable for autonomous driving to figure out if we can make it drive. So there are some special cases where you just change parts because it is more cost effective to do this than trying to find a workaround to live with the existing hardware. So.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people in the industry use the Curtis controller. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, we have full support in our software for the F series. So the latest one, and we have worked together with Curtis to also to back and forth give feedback that how to make motor controller that is from our side nice to handle, that you can easily control, and we are super happy with that product. So.
Well, good. Well, then it should be easy because I'd say like most of the electric equipment that I'm aware of uses the Curtis controller in GSE. So
that's why I'm saying typically it's not a big task, but you never know what's inside the metal before you actually start looking what parts are included. So
exactly. Yep. I mean, this has been fantastic. I've learned so much today. What haven't I covered? Like, what haven't I asked you about that you really want people to know about Navitec?
Well, I guess you have asked the most important part. What you haven't probably asked for is that in what kind of customer base we are having. So maybe that's important for people to know that even we are based, our headquarters is in Finland, but our customer base is global. So we sell in Europe, of course, coming from there. We sell a lot in US and also a lot in Japan. So kind of the industrial world is covered, but that's something that if people are hesitating that automation is hard or kind of that you have to have your partner sitting next to you, it's partly true, but we figure out that you can do this globally. You can do it, of course, flying over to your customer, but you can do it also very effectively remotely, helping your customer to get the knowledge to themselves that they can expand their operations. And that's where we have a lot of experience globally, how to do this, how different manufacturers learn to do or manufacture automated vehicles, and what are the challenges in that topic. And we are happy to help there. So,
and you all have a North American presence, is that correct?
We have their sales presence today, and hopefully in the future, when the business grows, we can also bring their support presence or service presence. Today, and it's sales presence, and then we fly over when needed.
And then, is there industrial companies working with Navitec equipment in North America?
There is quite a few. They are all behind the NDA, so I'm not shouting out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, we don't have to mention names, but there are people using Navitec in the North American market.
Definitely, there are. Yeah, and roughly 30% of our revenue comes from that market. So it's not.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you're already kind of got a foothold here, and you're just looking to expand into GSE. And,
correct, exactly.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you. You know, we always want new people, so it'll be really interesting. I can't wait to see how it goes in Lisbon. And I'll be obviously talking to my friends about the Navitec system and hoping you all the best in Lisbon, and I'm sure that everything will go great. So, is there anything else that you wanted to cover today?
No, I think that's the most important part. We cannot think if there's something that you think that should be covered if we got this part of.
Yeah, no, I think you've done a fantastic job of explaining, you know, what the benefits of Navitec are, kind of how the process would work with an OEM, and you know, just talking about autonomous in general is and you know, the weather and all the stuff. I mean, it sounds like, you know, with your years of experience in autonomous, there doesn't seem to be much that you probably have not come across where, if you're, you know, newer to the autonomous game, you know, it's a little bit probably more difficult to help out a new, you know, OEM, because you just don't know what the challenges might be.
Correct.
Where Navitec is going to know the challenges because they've done it across multiple industries, and they've probably seen everything. And you all done indoor and you've done outdoor. So, I mean, it sounds like to me it all makes sense. I don't really have any other questions. I think you've done a good job providing you know, appropriate information for our listening audience. So I just, you know, really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
And it's been great talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and hope to see many of you in Lisbon, and say hello to Peter when he's there.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Peter. What is his last name?
Peter Sikor. Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll be manning the Navitec booth in Lisbon next to the Innovation Zone. So, all right. Well, this has been Matt and Jouni for the GSE podcast. Thank you, Jouni. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the GSE podcast. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with your colleagues and peers in the ground support equipment community. Your support is invaluable to us. We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review our podcast. Your feedback not only encourages us, but also helps expand our reach within the GSE community. Keep an eye out for more episodes as we continue to explore the dynamic world of ground operations, bringing you the latest trends, insights, and stories from the industry. Thank you for listening to the GSE podcast. Until we meet again, stay grounded and keep pushing forward.